My name is Claire Dawson. I'm 29 years old. And one dinner destroyed my marriage. My mother-in-law leaned across the table, diamonds glinting, and sneered, "Divorce him and I'll hand you 50 grand. My husband just stared at his plate. Silent. That silence broke me more than her offer. I whispered, "Fine." A week later, though, her trembling voicemail arrived. And for the first time, the woman who bought my marriage sounded terrified. My name is Claire Dawson. I'm 29 years old, and I thought marriage was supposed to mean loyalty, protection, and love. I thought forever actually meant forever. But that illusion shattered over dinner. The dining room was glowing with chandelier light. Crystal glasses lined neatly across the table. The smell of roasted lamb lingered in the air, but the taste of betrayal would soon overpower everything. She sat across from me. My mother-in-law, Margot Dawson. Every movement of hers was polished, rehearsed. Even the way she dabbed her lips with a napkin was elegant. But her words? They cut sharper than knives. "Divorce him," she said coolly, "and I'll hand you 50 grand. Silence. I froze with my fork halfway to my mouth. The clink of cutlery echoed like thunder. $50,000. That was the value she had placed on my marriage. On me. My eyes darted toward my husband, Daniel. The man I thought would defend me. Protect me. Fight for me. But he didn't. He just stared at his plate. His shoulders were tense. His lips pressed shut. His silence screamed louder than any words ever could. And in that moment, I realized the truth. The decision had already been made. Not by me. Not even by her. But by the man I thought loved me. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. My voice came out barely a whisper. Fine. Margot smirked. A cruel smile that told me she'd won. Daniel never looked up. I excused myself before dessert, my chair scraping against the polished floor. My legs trembled as I walked out, but no one stopped me. Not even him. That night, I sat in the dark of our bedroom, staring at the wall while Daniel slept in the guest room. The papers came quickly after that. Neatly drafted. Every line efficient. Rehearsed. Almost as if Margot had been preparing them long before that dinner. I moved like a ghost through those days. Packing boxes. Signing documents. Avoiding calls from friends who would ask questions I couldn't answer. Daniel never protested. Never begged me to stay. He just let me go, like I had never been more than a placeholder in his life. By the end of the week, the house was empty. My marriage was gone. My future, stolen. But just when I thought the story had ended, the phone rang. A voicemail. Her voice, Margot's voice, trembled with something I had never heard before. Fear. "Claire, it's me. Please, you need to come. Something's happened." I don't know who else to call. For the first time, the woman who bought my marriage sounded terrified. And I knew instantly, this wasn't over. I replayed the voicemail again and again, each time more unsettling than the last. Margot Dawson, the same woman who had offered to buy my silence and my freedom with 50 grand, was now crying into my phone like a child. Her words were shaky, fractured. "Claire, please. Something's happened. I don't know who else to call." I should have deleted it. Blocked her number. Let her drown in whatever storm she had created. But something inside me couldn't. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was unfinished business. Or maybe it was the quiet rage inside me that wanted answers. So I drove. The Dawson estate loomed under the silver glow of the moon, its massive pillars casting long shadows across the driveway. It looked just as cold and untouchable as the woman who ruled it. Only tonight, it felt different. Vulnerable. Shaken. I rang the bell. No answer. I rang again. Still nothing. So I pushed the heavy doors open and stepped inside. The silence was deafening. Then I heard it, a muffled sob. I followed the sound to the dining room. The same table where my marriage had been sold like a business deal. But now, Margot sat slumped in one of the chairs, her mascara smeared, her hands trembling around an empty glass of wine. Her eyes widened when she saw me. Relief washed over her face. Almost desperate. "Claire, thank God." The words tasted bitter. Just a week ago, she wanted me gone. Now she was clinging to me like I was her only lifeline. What happened? I asked, my voice sharp, wary. She swallowed hard, her lips quivering. It's Daniel, she whispered. He's gone. The room tilted. My chest tightened. Gone? What do you mean gone? Her eyes darted toward the window as though someone might be listening. He took the money. Every cent. And then he vanished. The breath caught in my throat. So he had been complicit. His silence at dinner wasn't weakness. It was calculation. He had already decided. My mother-in-law's voice cracked. I trusted him, Claire. We trusted him. And he betrayed us both. I almost laughed at the irony. Her betrayal had begotten his. But before I could speak, she leaned closer, her voice dropping to a terrified whisper. There's more. He's not just gone with the money. He's in trouble. Serious trouble. Her hands shook violently as she gripped mine. He's mixed up with people you don't want to cross. Dangerous people. I froze. Because in that moment, I realized, this wasn't just about divorce anymore. This was about survival. Margot's words echoed in my ears. Dangerous people. I pulled my hand back, staring at her in disbelief. You mean to tell me he took the money, vanished, and now he's tangled with criminals? She nodded, her face pale. It wasn't just 50 grand, Claire. He emptied far more than that. Accounts I never thought he had access to. Hundreds of thousands. Gone. My heart slammed in my chest. Daniel, the man I thought was passive weak, had been quietly plotting all along. Why come to me? I demanded. You made it clear you wanted me out of his life. Tears streaked down her cheeks. Because I don't know where else to turn. You were his wife. Maybe you know something. Maybe he'll still answer you. Her desperation was almost laughable. The same woman who paid me to leave was now begging me to help her son. But I couldn't ignore the pit forming in my stomach. Because despite everything, I knew Daniel. Or at least I thought I had. And if he was desperate enough to rob his own mother, he was desperate enough for anything. I left the estate, Margot's pleas following me out the door. That night, I tore through old drawers, searching for any clue. Receipts. Notes. Bank slips. And then, I found it. A key. Not to our house. Not to a car. To a storage unit. My blood ran cold. I drove there at dawn, the city still asleep. The metal door groaned as I pulled it open. Inside, boxes stacked high. Ledgers. Cash bundles. Files with names I didn't recognize. And one thing that made my stomach twist. A photograph of Daniel. Standing beside men I'd never seen before. Hard eyes. Cold smiles. Men who didn't look like the type you could just steal from. And walk away. The air inside the storage unit was stale. Heavy with the scent of dust and secrets. I flipped through one of the ledgers. Names. Numbers. Dates. Some entries were neatly crossed out. Others circled in red. Transactions I couldn't understand, but the amounts, enormous. Tens of thousands. Sometimes hundreds. It wasn't business. It was something darker. I rifled through a box of envelopes. Cash bundled with rubber bands, foreign currency mixed with dollars. Enough to prove Daniel hadn't just stolen from his mother. He had been running something long before I ever knew. And then I found the photographs. Daniel, standing shoulder to shoulder with men whose faces sent chills down my spine. Their stares were hard, calculated. Tattoos curled up their necks. These weren't drinking buddies or co-workers. These were men who operated in shadows. Men who lived in a world of debts and punishments. At the bottom of the box was a phone. Burned, battered, but still functional. I powered it on. Dozens of messages appeared instantly, unread. You have 3 days. We don't wait forever. Run and we'll find you. My pulse spiked. He wasn't just missing. He was being hunted. I stumbled back, clutching the phone like it might explode in my hand. And in that moment, a cruel realization hit me. Daniel hadn't been silent at that dinner table out of weakness. He had been silent because he was already in too deep. The deal his mother offered me wasn't just her attempt to erase me from his life. It was her desperate way of buying him time. I shoved the phone into my pocket and locked the unit behind me. Outside, the sun was rising, but instead of light, I felt the weight of shadows pressing in. Margot thought Daniel had betrayed her. But the truth was so much worse. He hadn't just betrayed us. He had betrayed people far more dangerous. And now, whether I wanted to or not, I was standing right in their path. I left the storage unit with my heart pounding, the burner phone burning like a weight in my pocket. I should have gone straight home. I should have walked away. But fate doesn't care about what we should do. By the time I reached my car, a black SUV rolled up silently behind me. The windows tinted, the engine low and steady, like a predator breathing down my neck. 2 men stepped out. I recognized one of them instantly from the photographs. Tattoos winding up his arms. A scar cutting across his jaw. "Claire Dawson?" he said flatly. My stomach dropped. "Who are you?" He smirked without humor. "Let's just say, we're business partners of your husband." The other man circled me slowly, his eyes sharp, studying me like I was prey. I forced myself to stay steady. "Daniel isn't here. I don't know where he is." The scarred man tilted his head, amused. "Oh, we know he's not here. But he left something behind. And judging by the fact you were poking around in his unit, I'd say you found it." The phone in my pocket suddenly felt like a live grenade. "I don't know what you're talking about," I lied. The second man leaned in close, his breath hot against my ear. "Don't play stupid. He owes us. And when a man disappears, his debts transfer." Cold ran through me. They weren't just looking for Daniel. They were looking at me. I tried to steady my voice. "I don't have your money." Scarjaw's smile widened, slow and cruel. "Not yet. But you're going to help us find him. Because if you don't..." He let the threat dangle unfinished. Sometimes silence is deadlier than words. Before leaving, he tapped the hood of my car like a warning bell. "You've got 48 hours. After that, we stop asking nicely." The SUV vanished into the morning traffic, but the dread stayed, sinking deep into my bones. Margot thought she'd bought me off. Daniel thought he could vanish. But now, I was the one left in the crosshairs. And for the first time, I realized, this wasn't just their mess anymore. It was mine. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw their faces. Hard, cruel, patient. Predators who weren't bluffing. By morning, I drove back to the Dawson estate. Margot opened the door, her hair unkempt, her robe hanging loose. She looked 10 years older than the last time I'd seen her. "They came to me," I said flatly, pushing past her. "2 men. They know everything. And now they're looking at me to pay your son's debts." Her face went white. She staggered back into the living room, clutching the edge of a chair for balance. "Dear God. Tell me the truth," I snapped. "How deep was Daniel in?" She hesitated, then sank into a chair. Her voice shook. "Deeper than I wanted to admit. He started gambling first. Then borrowing. Then the partnerships. I thought I could control it, Claire. I thought if I pushed you out, maybe he'd get a clean slate. But instead, he dug deeper." I stared at her, fury rising. "You paid me to leave so you could pretend he wasn't drowning. And now he's dragged us all under." Before she could reply, the door burst open. Daniel. He stood there, thinner, wilder, his eyes darting around like a hunted animal. Sweat clung to his collar, his hands trembled. "Claire," he breathed. "You shouldn't be here." I froze, my heart pounding. "You robbed your mother. You left me with your mess. And now those men want me to pay." His jaw clenched. "I didn't have a choice. They would have killed me." Margot's voice cracked, desperate. "Daniel, what have you done?" Before he could answer, headlights cut across the windows. Engines rumbled outside. The men had followed me. The front door slammed open again, and the 2 from the storage unit strode inside like they owned the place. Scarjaw smiled darkly. "Family reunion. How touching." Daniel backed up, his face pale. "I just need more time." "Time?" the scarred man mocked. "You've had plenty." The second man grabbed Daniel by the collar, yanking him forward. "We don't want excuses. We want our money. Now." Margot gasped, tears streaming down her face. "Please, don't hurt him." Scarjaw's eyes flicked to me. "And what about you, sweetheart? You've been snooping where you don't belong. I swallowed hard, my fists clenched. You want your money? Take him. He's the one who owes you. Daniel's eyes widened in shock. Claire, don't. But the words tumbled out of me like fire. You let me burn for you. You let me walk away broken while you plotted your escape. Now you face the consequences. The room erupted in chaos. And for the first time in my marriage, Daniel looked truly terrified. Because this time, I wasn't the one walking away. The room was chaos. Daniel thrashed against the men's grip, begging for mercy. Margot sobbed uncontrollably, her polished mask shattered beyond repair. And me? I stood still, my voice steady as stone. You wanted me gone, I told Margot coldly. 50 grand to erase me. But you never realized, the person you needed protection from wasn't me. It was your own son. Her cries grew louder, broken, desperate. Claire, please help him. He's still my boy. I looked at Daniel. His eyes met mine, wide and frantic. Claire, please. Don't let them take me. I'll change. I swear I'll change. But I remembered the silence at that dinner table. The way he let his mother humiliate me. The way he signed the papers without a fight. The way he vanished with the money, leaving me to face the aftermath. You already made your choice, Daniel, I whispered. Scarjaw dragged him toward the door. Debt follows the debtor. He comes with us. Daniel screamed, clawing at the walls, begging for his mother's help. But she was paralyzed, sobbing into her hands. And me? I didn't move. The men shoved him into the SUV. The roar of the engine faded into the night. Silence fell over the Dawson estate. Heavier than before. Margot collapsed into a chair, shaking violently. I've lost him, she whispered. I stared at her unflinching. No. You didn't lose him tonight. You lost him years ago, when you chose control over love. Her face crumpled, but I felt nothing. No pity. No guilt. Just freedom. I walked out of that house, the cool night air washing over me like a baptism. For the first time in weeks, my chest felt light. Daniel was gone. My marriage was ashes. But I was still standing. Stronger. Sharper. Unbroken. At home, I poured myself a glass of wine and played Margot's old voicemail one last time. Her trembling voice begged me to come, to help, to save. But the truth was simple. She didn't need me to save them. She needed me to save her. And I chose not to. I raised the glass to my lips, whispering to the empty room. Fine. But this time on my terms.